Coming to you from beautiful Colorado Springs, the Prophecy Watchers Conference. I am your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. I'm here with Bill Salus today. We're going to be talking about some very interesting prophetic implications. We'll get into that, but first, a word from our trusted sponsor. Are you worried about the future of the U.S. economy? With so much uncertainty in the air, it's natural to fret about the security of your retirement savings. But there's one asset that stands the test of time. Folks, that's gold. For centuries, gold has been a hedge against market volatility and economic instability. With a gold IRA from Noble Gold Investments, you can harness the power of precious metals to help protect your financial future. Folks, we did this a couple of years ago. I got to tell you, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind, but so far we've made out really well. By rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into a self-directed gold IRA, you can enjoy the potential for long-term growth and stability. Diversify your portfolio with a tangible asset that has real value. Setting up your gold IRA has never been easier with Noble Gold Investments' streamlined process and expert guidance. This election year, don't let election volatility and uncertainty keep you up at night. Folks, vote for the timeless safety of gold and silver in 2024. Noble Gold Investments will give you up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar if you open a qualified account. Folks, go to noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Remember, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind, but I did it, my wife and I did it, and we are absolutely glad we did. Once again, noblegoldinvestments.com. Bill, thanks so much for joining us, and I want to give Bill some kudos here. He just got the Doctor of Letters. It's not an honorary doctorate, it's a Doctor of Letters from Louisiana Baptist University. This is the highest award you can possibly get. And he deserves it because he's been plowing in this field of biblical prophecy for decades. He's been ridiculed, he's been scoffed at, he's been ignored, there's been hit pieces written on him, but guess what? A lot and much of what Bill has written about is now coming to the forefront, and it's with great, it's our honor to have him here, but we celebrate your
Thank you, L.A. That is so kind of you. Yeah, I was struggling with some really bad health issues, as you know, with my back, and I've gotten very severe. Fortunately, I've had a back surgery recently that was very successful, and in the midst of that, they awarded me with this doctorate degree.
So
and
cool.
I was so honored.
It's just so cool. So we rejoice with Bill. You know, I just want to set something straight here. We're not making any of this up. These are headlines. This morning there was a headline from, I'm assuming Khomeini, but from the Iranians basically, who stated this: if the Israelis attack, we will annihilate you. We will annihilate you. That's what they said. When you hear that, where do you go? What are you thinking?
I think that's a very legitimate threat. That is certainly part of their whole program, foreign policy toward Israel. That's why through the years they've established their reach throughout like an octopus tentacles to the proxies. Israel's fighting on 7 fronts with Hezbollah, with Hamas, with the Houthis, Bashar al-Assad in Syria, Shiite militias in Iraq. You've got the West Bank Palestinians, there's Islamic Palestinian Jihad there, and Iran itself. I think they're actually fighting on an 8th front because you put the international community in their anti-Semitism and movements against Israel as almost like another proxy of Iran's.
So the war in Gaza seems to be dwindling down. I want to just, and you probably know this, when you go into Scripture and specifically the conquest of the Promised Land, it says very specifically, it names 3 cities, and the lead city that Joshua and Caleb did not go in is Gaza. It's right there in our Bibles. And I'm not saying that Hamas, you know, is in any way connected to the Nephilim. What I am saying is that that territorial spirit, in my opinion, has never been deposed, which is why we get the atrocities that we see on October 7th. But that operation seems to be dwindling. All eyes go north. And for me, you know, I'm looking at what Turkey might do. Russia's already in there. Assad is with the Iranians. You just mentioned that. This is unprecedented, in my opinion. What are your thoughts when you see what's happening on the northern border?
Well, I watch it very closely, as you know, right about the prophetic implications, especially in the Middle East, of the events, especially that are going on presently. October 7th changed everything. There's no going back to the status quo in my estimation.
I
There's
agree.
too much damage going on.
I agree.
And so I think now we look at the point, well, could we now be getting into the prophetic realm? Are we going to now we're going to start to see prophecy start to roll off their ancient parchments and pound down on that Middle East pavement? And I think the answer to that is yes. Now, Israel's had its way for the most part with the attack, their war with the Hamas in the Gaza. Of course, now the Biden administration is trying to dictate the terms on some levels, it appears to be, by withholding munitions and things like that. But what we're finding now, the shift is really the focus is going toward the northern border with Hezbollah.
Absolutely.
And we have to keep an eye on Iran, which how you started this program was talking about Iran. The IAEA Inspector General Grossi came out on May 19th and said that he is concerned that Iran is just several weeks away, not several months, he says, from having a nuclear weapon.
Let me stop you right there. And I realize this is speculation. If Iran actually gets a nuke, do you think there'll be a pause, or do you think they'll just go right to Tel Aviv with it? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think they're going to need more than one, and they're going to have to do it. We remember that on April 13th, they lobbed over about 320
Drones. Right, missiles, the whole thing, right.
Ballistic missiles. And it was
And let me stop you again. That's unprecedented.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we haven't seen that type of an exchange between those two countries. Unbelievable.
Well, exactly,
Unbelievable.
and basically, and it was highly unsuccessful, and many of us believed it was a God thing, that God protected Israel from that, because those were intended to do serious damage, and if they were going to strike their targets, 99% of those, if you're not familiar with that, were intercepted, primarily by Israel, but with the help of the United States, Britain, and even on some smaller level, even Saudi Arabia, kind of a strange bedfellow for Israel. But if those would hit their targets as intended,
Right.
and then that would have created a massive problem. Everything would have changed the direction at that point. They would have had to have, and they do have presently, Hezbollah ready to fire about 6,000 missiles a day in the first few days. Syria with chemical weapons. The Houthis can go to Tel Aviv with precision-guided missiles. They would have had to go into the full-scale war at that point in time, the proxy war, which will be coming.
And I think that's what we're looking at. I think it's going to go full-blown here.
It's coming,
I
yeah.
hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
I don't think you're wrong, because
Yeah,
the
I
prophecies
agree.
the prophecies talk about major destruction, especially like in Damascus, the capital of Syria, where the Bashar al-Assad regime is. We're told in Isaiah 17:1 that city will cease from existing. It will be reduced to rubble overnight.
And Israel has already threatened to destroy Damascus. We're not making this up. Israel has threatened that if you do this, we will destroy Damascus. That's a matter of public record.
Right. So, I mean, they're a proxy of Iran. And so one of the first casualties of the proxy war, where Israel will take a hit, because in the Isaiah prophecy, it talks about Israel actually taking a hit and finding itself in a self-defense prison rules fight. And that's where you have to pull out their best weapon off the shelf. Their worst kept secret, their nuclear program, but their strongest weapon. And one weapon can destroy a full city. And they've got tactical, strategic nuclear capabilities. And the prophecy goes on to say it happens overnight.
Right.
So it looks like a nuclear exchange is
I
coming
agree.
soon to the
I
Middle
agree.
East. Now, the other thing about Iran, the JNS reported just recently that the centrifuges they've upgraded to in Fordow, they can actually now produce several nuclear weapons per month once they get to that stage. Some of us believe they've already got explosive-ready nuclear weapons. Your question was, will they get one, will they put it on the warhead and send it immediately? I don't think so, because that's what they saw happen on April 13th.
So they're backing up from
they
that.
can't send
right.
one thing and have that
Right.
the one nuclear weapon get blown up
Yeah.
mid-fight.
They don't want that.
But what they can do, when they've got a barrage of weapons, 6,000 missiles from Hezbollah, a couple, whatever's
And
left of
sneak the
Hamas,
other one in.
Syria throwing chemical weapons, now all of a sudden they can start sending in all their missiles again, and in the midst of those missiles they can have a couple nuclear warheads coming forward. I don't think they would start with the nuclear weapon. I think they would try to do what they can
What you
without the
just
nuclear
said,
weapon.
right.
They might have they might feel they've got enough manpower to do it without going nuclear. But if they do go nuclear, they do have a ballistic missile, it's intercontinental, hypersonic, which can travel to get to Israel in 400 seconds, which is 6.66 minutes, and it can carry a nuclear warhead. It travels 5 times the speed of sound. So I mean, Israel's finding itself in the most dangerous territory it's ever found itself.
But we know that prophecy states that, with the Ezekiel 38 and 39 war, that the nations will know that the Lord has acted on behalf of Israel. Does that speak to that?
Well, that's a major marquee prophecy, Ezekiel 38 and 39, where Russia puts together this formidable coalition with Turkey and Iran, and there's actually 9 members in total, coming against Israel when Israel is dwelling securely without walls, bars, no gates, in the latter days. And I think you and I both agree it's the latter days, right? Pretty obvious there. And so we're all watching for that, because God has to stop that supernaturally. It's too formidable. Right now, if this prophecy was to find fulfillment now, and I think there's a couple things that have to happen prior, and we'll talk about it perhaps. But if it would happen now, there'd be 2.5 million troops from Russia's coalition. If they're able to come against Israel, it's got about 176,000 troops and some reserves. I mean, it's a David and Goliath story.
It is.
So they can't, the point being, they can't stop them. We don't find the American troops involved in Ezekiel 38.
Right.
But what we do find is God taking the helm supernaturally with a great earthquake. When the great earthquake happens, all these troops who speak different languages are going to freak out. It creates this, it says every man's sword will be against his brother.
That's unbelievable.
And then it says there'll be flooding rain, great hailstones, fire and brimstone. It'll be an Old Testament, and the world's going to go, wow, that was supernatural. Wow, was that the God of the Jews? And God wants them to realize that, because it says when that's done, in Ezekiel 39, verse 7, I will make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel. They shall not profane it anymore, and the nation shall know that I am the Holy One in Israel. So he's going to use that event. It says he's going to put the hooks in the jaw of that coalition and drag them for plunder and booty, and he's going to stop it, and then he'll say, listen, I am the holy God of the Jews. The promise keeper of Abraham, the Abrahamic covenant, and the promise keeper to believers in Jesus Christ.
My last question to you is this, and I realize it's a controversial question. There's a lot of people all over the map in regards to the rapture of the church. There are people on the far side that don't believe it's going to happen at all, that it's just an invention of Darby, a couple hundred years ago, 150 years ago, whatever. It's all recent, and yet we know, behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep. We shall be changed in a moment, twinkling of an eye. At the last trump, the dead will rise first. We who are alive, I'm mixing the two, will be caught up together with those in the clouds. So I believe in the rapture. I think we're close. So you've got people who don't believe in it at all, people who believe in a pre-trib, others mid-trib, others post-trib, and then others that we have another 50 years before that's going to happen. What are your thoughts? Where do you think we are?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm happy to say I don't believe this is a salvation topic. Thank God.
It's not.
It's not.
Right.
So we can have our opinions on this.
Yeah, we can agree to disagree.
I'm a pre-trib rapture believer. Matter of fact, I'm so pre-trib LA, I don't even buy post-toasting. Bam. So
Rim shot here.
So I believe we're very close, because we're told in 1 Thessalonians and in the book of Romans, numerous places, that we're not appointed to the wrath that will come to judge a Christ-rejecting humanity in the tribulation period, which is the last 7 years on this earth's timeline before the second coming. We're told that we'll be delivered by Jesus Christ from this wrath. We're told in Revelation chapter 3, the letter to the church of Philadelphia, that will be kept from the hour of trial that tests the whole earth. And we're to comfort one another with these words, 1 Thessalonians 4:18. So I think there's many strong arguments for why it's a pre-tribulation rapture, but how close are we to it? And of course, that's the mystery. I mean, we don't know.
It is a mystery. Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know when that's going to happen. There's nothing that has to happen prior. It's an imminent event in my estimation. As we see all the end times events converging, it used to be the super sign of the end times was the rebirth of the nation of Israel in 1948, fulfilling numerous biblical prophecies. That's when the world hourglass, I think, made its final tip, and the end times clock started ticking. But now the super sign of the end times is that all the end time signs are converging. There's no weapon not fashioned, no national relationship not formed, no technology not developed that would prohibit the fast acceleration of one prophecy falling on the heels of another, back to back to back till they're all done. And I think that's leading toward the tribulation real soon. The Gog of Magog war of Ezekiel 38, I believe, is pre-tribulation. That's coming real soon. There's a Psalm 83 war that I write about that I think precedes that. That's looking right at us. It's got Hamas involved and Hezbollah involved.
Right.
Things like that. So we're seeing this happen, not just that, the UFO thing, your specialty, the cryptocurrencies, and leading the way to AI with the mark of the beast and the Antichrist. It's all like right here.
Everything seems to be converging.
And fat rapidly. And so basically, from my perspective, Jesus could come get us, and he yearns to come get us. Matter of fact, our dear friend Chuck Missler, who's gone on to be with the Lord, had a dinner with him one time. We became good friends as we all have done. And he said to me, and he was almost emotional, he said to me, Bill, the one thing in all my years of study, and he was just a fantastic Bible teacher. Certainly look him up, Chuck Missler. He said the one thing that has affected him probably the most in all of his years of study is that Jesus Christ actually yearns, desires, and longs to come get his bride.
Weren't we at that table together?
Oh, so you heard that too?
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah,
we were sitting.
He was almost crying.
He was very emotional.
Yeah,
very emotional.
And that's it. He's just waiting for God the Father to say, "Go get your bride." Like you would want to go get your bride for your wedding.
Wow.
And longing for that. So in my estimation, the only thing holding that back is God's long suffering. He doesn't want anyone to perish. But Jesus is probably going, Dad, can I go get him? Dad, can I go get him? And I think that's what's the conversation being had up there right now. He wants to come get us right now.
I agree. How do we get a hold of your materials? And folks, I would, we have 15, 20 minutes here? You need to do a deep dive. You need to do your homework. You really do. YouTube videos are great. We've just scratched the surface. Bill you've got resources, you've got books, you've got, how do the folks access your material?
Well, thanks, Ellie. Yeah, you can reach me at prophecydepot.com, Prophecy Depot like Home Depot.com, and we've got a bookstore there. I've got 11 books and 11 DVDs I've done through the years. I've got my articles there. I've got my videos there you can get to. We've got a YouTube channel as well. Just you go to YouTube and type in Bill Salus, S-A-L-U-S, and you'll find me. And so thank you so much, Ellie.
Thank you. All right, folks, there is lots going on. Thanks so much for watching, folks. We really appreciate it, and we'll be back again real soon.
What happens if a mile-wide craft shows up above Washington? Who's behind it?
Well, at some level, the government, the military, and the intelligence community.
It is a threat, and it's going to soon become a global threat, and it's going to require a global response.
The UFO phenomenon has become the great off-putting.
We're going to get disclosure accidentally.
An interesting time to be alive. We live in a time where literally the government told us these UFOs are real, we don't know what they are.
The question then is, who are they in contact with? Are they truly extraterrestrial? Has mankind been visited by inhuman entities?
What are your closing thoughts in regard to disclosure?
Floodgates are open, and all bets are off right now.
They're definitely conditioning the masses for some kind of revealing of technology.
We're being visited by extraterrestrials.
If you look at the late night talk hosts, when they're talking to all the presidents, and they always bring up the question, are you going to tell us anything? If you look at their faces, they know something.
Folks, the phenomenon is not going away. We go up, they show up, we go up, they come down. To warn of what we believe is the coming great deception.